Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm the founder of the Bobby White Foundation.
I'm Bonnie Snyder, your co-host.
Hey, welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome, all you guys out there. Um, of course, first off, we want to thank John with Weaving TV.
Area 52 Media
Oh,
Group.
dang, I did do it wrong. Area 52 Media Group. You're right.
Old habits die hard.
Oh, man. Yeah, John with Area 52 Media Group.
And Rob,
And of
who's
course,
behind
Rob, our tech guy, because you wouldn't see us if it wasn't for him.
You wouldn't hear us if it wasn't for him.
Well, that also. So we have actually, we've got a few things to get through with this show. I think what we're going to do is kind of like finish up with our book that we've been going through for the last couple months, and a few other things. But I wanted to bring up something something that happened the beginning of this week, and it has to do with social media.
Okay.
During the football game, the Bucks and the Dallas Cowboys game.
How about them Cowboys?
Every time I bring that up, that's what somebody says. I'm sorry, I'm Bucks all the way. But anyways,
Cowboys all the way.
I know, so isn't a lot of everybody I talk to. So anyway, so this is what happened. Well, did you watch the game?
I don't watch football.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you might have heard about it, but their kicker, Brett Maher, missed like
5 times in a row.
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw
Okay.
the highlights afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so my neighbor and I were texting back and forth, joking around. It's like, oh man, come on, you can't even do this, but that's good for us, in a fun way. But a friend on Facebook made a comment, and this isn't word for word, but it's pretty darn close word for word. His post was, "It's been reported that the kicker for the Dallas Cowboys attempted to hang himself, but he couldn't kick the chair out from underneath him." Now, most of the people on his feed replied like laughing and, my initial response was, seriously, could you please remove this? That's all I said. A couple other gals that I know also made comments, this is in bad taste, you should really consider, what you're saying here, people that have lost people to suicide, particularly in this manner, it's really insensitive, blah, blah, blah. He didn't really reply to their comments, per se. To mine, he came back saying, oh, it's just a joke. It's not about suicide. And I was like, suicide is your joke. It's there. And there were a couple things back and forth, and I just decided, look, I said, you can say whatever you like, and I said, I lost my husband to suicide. He hung himself. I said, we lose hundreds of people in our community to suicide. And I said, I just hope it doesn't come to your front door, along with the people that are laughing with you. But if it does, our foundation is here for you. If you need more awareness and education, gave him the Bobby White Foundation and our show. And I said, I'll just remove myself as your friend.
There's a bit to unpack there. And I think what I find sometimes with, social media and memes and whatnot, that for the most part, things are meant to be lighthearted, good fun, poke at each other. And if I, start with the game, for example, again, like I said, I don't watch football. But I've been a Dallas fan since I've learned what football was.
Right.
And people looked at me, I was like,
I know my
don't. Yeah, it's
sisters.
like I don't watch football. And so, of course, I'm sitting there thinking that's the one game that I should have watched, because I had some trash talking friends, and then afterwards I just look at them like, how about the boys? They put a shellacking on Brady, or Brady got shellacked. But anyway, then of course watching the highlights, I'm, looking at, and of course trying to put it into context, this multiple time, I think I counted five times he's trying to kick the ball through the goalpost and it doesn't work. And so as I'm unpacking unpacking and processing what I just heard, the first thing that struck me was, it's just a joke. I'm not talking about suicide. However, I'm listening. The Post said the Dallas Cowboy kicker tried to hang himself.
It's attempted suicide by attempting to hang himself or something. Yeah.
So, and even if we took the attempted suicide, okay, attempted to hang himself but couldn't kick the chair off from underneath himself. Okay, and I'm gonna remove the words. I'm removing the word suicide purposely. So, arguably by default, attempted to hang himself, by definition, is suicide.
It's suicide, exactly.
For someone to say it's just a joke, and I'm like, all right, I understand. I can get behind cosign on people trying to make light of difficult, traumatic situations. However, that making light of, joking, however you want to put it, has got to be in good taste. At the same time, ensuring that you are mindful of how many people out there that might hear what you say, how it might affect them.
They don't care.
Well, I mean, I would say in some instances they don't care. I think in other instances, Tammy, it's more of a, if I were to create some categories, there's a percentage of the people that, you're right, they don't care. I don't give a darn who I offend. It's just kind of there. I think the other percentage are people who, it's not that I don't care. I'm not thinking. I'm not cognizant, aware. I don't process how the words that might come, the words that come out of my mouth or my actions might affect somebody else. And I think, for me, this is what is, lacking. And of course, I would argue I have a different perspective on, situations, I'll leave it at that. I have a different perspective on things, because I think from a mental health, behavioralist kind of, the kind of lens. And, I would have, done the same thing that you did. Really, dude? Like, I understand the joke per se, but this is a joke that is in really, really poor taste. I think of my own, social media pages and whatnot, that if, people in our group are sending jokes like that back and forth, we have a private group chat that only we see it. It's not out there for, the public forum. And then there are times where, I've looked at somebody and it's like, I don't find this humorous, and here's why. Or someone, would say, oh, I wanted to post that to you to get your thoughts on it before I post. Or a lot of times, oh, I think that's humorous. I think it's in good taste. I ended up posting it.
Right.
Not to make, not making it about me. I wonder, not knowing this individual, or maybe I do and I don't know it, but not knowing who the individual is, let's just say, I am put off by the dismissive way of, it's just a joke. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, and the further interactions was that way, very dismissive. And I even put on there, I'm like, what would you think if his parents or his wife saw this post? And basically his attitude and somebody else's attitude was, well, it's a joke. I don't have to think the way that you think. And my final thing was, that's fine. You can post whatever you want, but I don't have to be a part of it. And if it would have continued, my whole thing was, and I already made up in my mind, these individuals are not the kind of people that you can get them to understand at all. It's going to be them, their way, no matter what. But if just one individual throughout this feed saw this feed and it made them think, just made them think, then it was worth it.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, I also look at it too in terms of, when you're talking to individuals about.
And I invited him to be on the show. And which he ignored the invite. And I also, because he's tried to throw it back to me as, now, I'm not even sure how much of a friend this is. I'm not even sure I even know who this person is. He's friends of a lot of friends of mine. That's why we're friends, I guess. And so I invited him to be on the show. And then he threw back this friendship thing at me when I said I would just remove myself as a friend. Like, how good of a friend are you if you're just going to unfriend me for one post? And to me, and it's just me, that one post showed me his true colors to me. And I just can't be a part of it. And I also asked him, would you like to meet for coffee or a drink? We could talk about it. Nothing. So.
The one thing about approaching any subject that has to do with our respective reactions and feelings about certain things is I think we forget, we forget, we're not cognizant, I don't want to say we're not trained to dismiss approaching it by attempting to get the other person to acknowledge what you did was hurtful, what you did was, and I'm going to put in air quotes, wrong. Because wrongness, that's an opinion. Some people might,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and to them, that's not wrong.
Yeah, some people might say it's
and
just
it's
a
not
joke,
hurtful.
right? It's just a joke.
Right.
It wasn't, But anyway, and it's important when we're addressing things like that to keep the conversation in the focus of the I. We say all the time in mental health, use your I statements, stay away from the word you, because I can say, well, you should have thought about this post before you posted it. I did, that's why I posted it.
Yeah.
You should,
I don't think I was approaching it so much that way as.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying, you, but the only thing really that we can control is our feeling toward it. Hey, I
Right.
found this post offensive. I don't find this funny. I don't find this, humorous. However you want to word it.
Ironically, most of the people on that feed did.
What's that?
Found it
found it funny.
Yeah, found it funny.
Well, and again, I think sometimes, and I'm not defending the post or the person or the people who responded. I'm aware, that sometimes people approach difficult situations with humor. Patrick was notorious for that. I don't. Without disclosing to you, I would have to ask the other person involved, to disclose the full story. But when he was young, decades ago, there was a situation that happened, between he and another person, or that involved, that it affected he and another person, and Patrick, his normal jovial, comical self. Someone said something to him about, what happened, and he laughed, or, the other person involved, if I remember right, said something about it, and, he was laughing. And that person was like, oh my gosh, like, how could you laugh about that? Like, this is not funny. Mm-hmm. And it caused some really negative, impact or negative blowback on their relationship. Later on, down the line, Patrick was, got involved in a car crash. And I learned later on that the car crash, basically he wrapped his car around a tree. And what I heard was, or actually what I learned to understand was that crash was intentional. Because he was dealing
Right.
with, the situation that happened. Right. And it wasn't until later on that people came to realize if something bad happens and Patrick is laughing about it, don't mistake his laughter for I don't care or I find this funny. This was his way of not breaking down. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I'm not defending, the post, because I'd be like, oh, that one's that one's in poor taste. At the same time, I look at, people who didn't find it or who found the post humorous. My analytical, curious mind would be like, tell me more about that. Help me. What was it about that you found humorous? But I would have to ask the question in a way that was not, I didn't find it funny at all, or I didn't find it humorous at all. But then, if I'm truthful about it, I'm like, all right, let me think about this for a moment. It's in poor taste. I understand the humor, and understanding the humor translate to, well, I condone the post. Well, no, I don't. Yeah.
Well, and I can see that because even I told one of my sisters part of the story, and it was just one comment that she made, and she said, "Well, I can see why you wouldn't find it funny from where you're coming from." And before I started to say even something to her, because I said something about the football game, and they're a big Dallas fan. She goes, "Oh wait, before you say any more, wasn't that a good game?" I was like, "You little brat! I'm just trying to tell you something, But it wasn't it didn't hit her like it hit me.
Right, and your sister brought up an extremely valid point. Where I'm back to what I was saying. I would be curious to see. So you found that humorous. What was it? And it's hard to ask the question. So what was it that was funny about you without coming across as you shouldn't have found that funny? But your sister has a extremely valid point. Someone who has lost someone to suicide in that particular manner. I mean, I could look and I was like, well, that's how we lost Aiden.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and it's like, all right, somebody's going to joke about, make a joke about this. Is it funny? Is it not funny? Again, for me, it's like, I can almost sound hypocritical. Would I have posted something like that? Probably not. But then again, would I have?
What if you hadn't experienced it, or even if you had?
Well, I would say, and Tammy, I can't say even if I, if I didn't experience it, could I still, joke about it, or would I still find, I don't want to say find humor in it, and it's not necessarily funny humor in the event itself. Like I find no humor in.
Well, my neighbor and I joked all during the game about him missing the football, but it didn't have anything like his joke.
Well, I mean, look at it from this perspective. All right, when it comes down to making,
ours were nice jokes.
when it comes down to making light of, difficult situations, for example, I'm going to, change the context just a second. And I use this as an example when I'm, talking to my students about, uniqueness and acceptance and differences and, different points of view. And I'm like, all right, so I have really bad eyesight. All right, I take these bad boys off, and everything disappears. Like I probably can't see, 2 inches, 6 inches in front of my face. Maybe I can even see beyond 2 inches. And so people would look like, okay, well, you have really bad eyesight. And I think of, as a youngster being bullied, Coke bottle glasses, 4 eyes and whatnot. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so dealing with that negative experience of being bullied because, I had really thick glasses or really bad eyesight. I'm like, okay, so you know what? How can I make fun of the fact that, I have really thick glasses and poor eyesight? So I jokingly tell people, prototype for the Hubble telescope.
Okay.
And people look at me and they were like, what? Prototype for the Hubble telescope. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking the fact that, and again, I'm not a fan of my eyes. I'm like, really, of all the things, please, I hate my eyesight. Or, I am not a fan of, I can't see without glasses. It has bothered me, I should say, it's bothered me throughout my years. But then as I've gotten older, or I should say from 8, when my eyes first started going bad, until like into my teens, it's like, but then I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, it's hereditary. I've been conditioned with my eyes. It has my eyes. So let me make light of it, or being able to, surviving cancer, being able to joke about it, and people's like, why would you laugh about having? Well, am I still here? Yes. I can make light of a bad situation. I think, and again, it's like where things are tasteful. I remember this was my first surgery. When I was going for my first surgery, and the anesthesiologist, came in, and he was like, okay, I'm going to give you, he initially told me this is what I'm going to give you to put you to sleep before, your surgery. And he looked at me, he goes, I'm going to give you, and he named off, the narcotics. And he goes, I'm giving you the Michael Jackson juice.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm looking at him. Now, mind you, this was after,
Right.
Michael Jackson had passed away. And when he says, yeah, you're getting the Michael Jackson juice. Now, on one hand, I would have been like, really, dude, that's really messed up that you would say that to me, like you're about to give me
Right.
the very thing that cost Michael Jackson his life. At the same time, however, it was like, I'm going to admit, I found that one funny. Now, and again, it wasn't that I was laughing at the fact that Michael Jackson
Right.
had passed away because of, the propofol. I love Michael Jackson. I'm a huge, still to this day, a huge Michael Jackson fan. Hated the fact that, what caused, his life to end. But I found humor, at the same time, I found humor in my anesthesiologist. Yeah, because in my head I was like, but I don't have to worry because I'm here in a hospital being
Right.
monitored. Or, other things that most people look at like, that was really distasteful. And I'm like, yeah, it does go back to how does it affect you?
Right.
If that comment either rips open a wound that was scabbed over, then okay, I completely acknowledge and stand by and support. Hey, that was funny to you. It was not funny to you. It was funny to this person. Do I condemn this person? No. However, I would hope that that person develops an awareness.
Right.
That some it's like telling off-color jokes at the same time. Oh man. Again, I admit, I can tell an off-color joke with the best of them. And usually, off-color jokes that are cultural. And they're like, how do you do that? And I said, one is to let you know that I have a sense of humor, as warped as it may be. but at the same time, I don't know, this tendency, we have this tendency to normalize some things and not normalize others. Or in this particular instance, in the case of this particular joke, the joke is normal, it's okay over here, but in this particular setting, it's not okay. You know, would I take that joke to um, a mental health, convention? Probably not. Yeah, people look at me as like, really? It's real. Would I take it to, or not, and again, not me personally. Would I take it to, a bunch of, some other sports fans, or whatnot? Absolutely. Because the other thing too is people don't necessarily connect um, the verbiage to, suicide. So I'm wondering if when this person posted this joke, they weren't drawing the connection between suicide.
My phone's over there because I could say it word for word, but I don't know. It just, I mean, I don't per se condemn him for saying what he said. It's just not something that I want to put myself in.
Oh, it makes perfect, and that makes perfect sense.
In that position to even interact with that person, unfortunately, just because, I mean, I gave him the opportunity to interact with me on it outside of the social media. I did it publicly so that, I gave you the opportunity to interact. And if you're not going to, then, I can't do it. It's, and you have every right to believe and stand up for, what you want and your post, but I don't have to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And just leave it that, and that's it, I know he's friends with a whole lot of friends of mine, and they know my situation too. So, but it's done. It's over with, and I just don't have to interact with.
No, you don't. You don't. And I think that's what some people are reluctant to understand. Hey, in this particular case, when I heard you, I think what I heard you say is, so you're going to unfriend me because of one post. And what I would say to him is, sometimes it takes just one.
Yeah, that's just it. It. I mean, and to me, whether we know each other that well or not, and you're not even willing to say, and I don't really mean it this way, but it's the only way that I can figure out how to word it. Just, I'm sorry that this offended you, or, I'm sorry for whatever, but this is how I feel, or whatever. And that's fine, that's fine. It's done. It's over with. It's never going to happen. But I don't have to put myself in that situation.
And I think even if it doesn't come out in the form of an apology. I mean, to me, I look at people sometimes, I was like, I'm not necessarily looking for an apology. What I'm looking for is acknowledgement.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And so, like, at least give
acknowledgement or a teeny bit of understanding. Mm-hmm. You don't have to believe what I believe, but have a little bit of empathy or compassion. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's enough on that. It's done. It's over with. But I had to get it out. I knew Tuesday morning. I was like, oh well, we got stuff for the show on Friday, and didn't deal with it after Tuesday morning at all. After that, it was just.
But I think it's an important note for the folks that watch us, to recognize and acknowledge that words matter. I mean, this is something that across multiple domains. I think of again what I do when I'm not on the set. Words matter.
They do.
And I think it's important that one acknowledges how my actions, intended or not, might offend somebody else. There's a joke that's like, that really hurt my feelings. one of two things are going to happen. It's going to be I apologize, or I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I apologize, or good, I meant to hurt your feelings.
Right.
Or get over it. I mean, because let's face it, there are times where it's like, no, I meant what I said, and
Right.
I got the very reaction out of you that I wanted. Should we be doing that? The answer is no. I would say no. Again, guys, words and actions matter.
Yeah, they do. So, on to the next thing. Did you receive an email? I know I received a couple, so did my aunt, that Smile.Amazon is going away in February.
Something popped up on my Amazon feed, but I didn't read. I didn't read. I just know it was something that had to do with, Smile Amazon.
Yeah. I don't know the date exactly, but in February, from now until whatever that date is in February, it'll no longer exist. Small organizations like ours won't be getting any donations like that. One thing, though, that I do applaud for Amazon, and I think this might be correct, pretty close, that what they are going to do for those of us that are registered with them is, I think, give us, now don't quote me on this, but three months worth of donations from our 2022 total. And then I guess what they're doing is they're going to focus on helping out in bigger ways. I mean, I can imagine the logistics of sending out, $20 checks every quarter to small organizations is a lot of work. So their focus is going to be on much larger things that they can do to help the communities around the world. Which is a bummer, but order a lot of Amazon stuff between now and February, whatever.
I said about the thing, I was like, all the Amazon, and then you forget to, it's like my Amazon, I think, defaults to Prime, and I have to physically go in and change it to Smile, and it's like, oh my god, I just ordered this thing, I just spent like how much money, and it wasn't on.
Well, even on it should automatically do that. Because it does on mine.
No, mine goes to my Prime first.
So that kind of is sucky, but one bad thing, we got a good thing. I got a contact from our website from a gal here in the area, Captain Sarah Tunder, and she's with Freedom Boat Club of Tampa Bay. And she saw something about the foundation and contacted us and is offering lost survivors through our foundation a boat cruise. Three pontoon boats. We can have up to 27 people. And we go out of Catches to the Stilt House. And basically it's just, relaxing, fun, history, telling about, the Stilt Houses and stuff, and go out there, come back up through the Cody River, probably up close to the bridge, maybe on Main Street, and come around back to Catches. So they're offering this to us.
Oh, nice. So
it'll probably be, we have to come up with a date. It's probably going to be sometime towards the end of March. Any lost survivors in the Tampa Bay area that want to get in touch with our foundation, we said it's going to be limited to 27 people. And it has to be during the weekday. So that's why we're kind of planning it towards the end of March so we can get, people to know.
Right.
There is a a boat passenger waiver that people have to sign, and we can get those out to them. And let me see if it has kids under 90 pounds. Parents should provide life jackets. They have life jackets, but if there's a bunch of kids, they don't have a lot of life jackets for
Right.
kids. So, yeah, it says here, we take the pontoons out to the stilt houses, talk a little bit about local history, and take in the natural beauty out there, and then come back around to enjoy the river ride to Sims Park before ending back at Catches.
Right. Nice.
So I just got this information a couple days ago. So we're going to work on getting a date and getting this stuff out there. I'm going to contact too, I think, oh gosh, I can't even remember her name. The manager for the Victims Advocate for the Sheriff's Department. I know who it is, can't think of it. And then also Jesse, the sheriff with the mental health team, to see if we can get some more of those, and go and with the people that that we have. So, of course, anybody with your family, and we'll get rolling on that. I'm really excited. I thought that was just a really nice thing for them, you know, to do. What it is they evidently this is a pretty big organization. It's their part of their community reinvestment.
I think it's nice, community involvement and, engaging the community to address, things like that. And it's one of the things that, the coalition, does as well. Or, we think of our community partners that, again, it's very collaborative, so it is nice when communities come together or
Yeah.
partnerships come together to address,
Well, they see a need and they want to help. Yeah. They see what's happening and yeah. The cruises usually, I guess she says here, the cruises are usually from 9 a.m. to noon. So we'll work on coming up with a date and getting the information out, and I think it's really cool that they want to do this.
It's nice.
For us.
Very
Yeah.
nice of them.
Very cool. I'm excited about that. So we're gonna I think we're gonna wrap up this book today.
I think so too, especially considering where we are.
Remember, you can get this book off Amazon still before February. It'll count towards us. You can either do it through smile.amazon or you can use the link on our website. I have a link to it on our website too, on the Bobby White Foundation website.
As I was looking through this, the last few, as he calls them, practical ideas. I like what he has here on number 91, where he says, allow for the feelings of unfinished business. And, where in it he says, death often brings about feelings of unfinished business, things we never did, things we didn't get to say, things we wish we hadn't. Allow yourself to think and feel these if-onlys. You may never fully resolve the issues, but if you permit yourself to mourn them, you will become reconciled in them. Is there something you wanted to say to the person who died but never did? Write her a letter and openly express your thoughts and feelings. And this one hit me particularly because as I was driving, coming from home, to the studio, I found myself in not an overwhelming, but a grappling with a wave of emotion. It was a little wave. Thankfully, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, let me do this. And I was thinking about when I dropped Pat off to work that Friday, before I got on the plane. And looking at this, I was like, if only I would have gotten out of the car and gave him a hug. Um, if only, and I'm thinking, if only, my car had not been in the shop, he would have had, it's like, Mom, you're going away, can you leave me your car? And, I'm looking at him, I was like, I already planned that, son, because, he had to, was going to have to work while I was gone. And I was like, I know depending on your friends is not always, your friends are not always dependable. I was like, I already planned that. And then car goes in the shop before I'm getting on the plane. But, I sit back and I'm like, I can hold on to the fact that the very last words I said to him before I drove away or was taken to the airport was, "I love you, son." Um, it does make me think of that, meme that you see. If I would have known the last time I saw you was the last time I saw you, I would have, held you tighter, hugged you tighter, whatever that list is. Um, but again, I like where, he says, the recommendation to allow for these feelings of unfinished business. Because it's always going to be there. There's always going to be.
Exactly.
This is business you're not going to finish. At the same time, you don't have to let it consume you.
No, you don't. And it's ironic that you picked this one too, because this is the one that hit me this week because of my mom and the relationship that we had, and with her just suddenly being gone. And also, I got a message from my neighbor the beginning of the week. She's like, Tammy, she goes, I got a friend request from your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already friends on Facebook, And I said, somebody's cloning mom's page.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, just delete it, because I didn't really know what to do at the time. And so then yesterday, I get a message from one of mom's coworkers, and same thing happened to her. And I said, okay, we're working on it. So I did some research, and I told her, I said, mom's page has been cloned. I said, can you forward me the message? Because you have to go into that cloned page and report that cloned page. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't gotten anything. So she did. She forwarded it to me. So I went in and reported the page as cloned, however they word it. And so I had to call my sister. And I'm like, either you need to find mom's book where all her passwords are, or I said, go into your computer. I said, this is what's happened to mom's Facebook page. I said, we got two choices. Shut it down completely if you can get into it, or go and raise all the privacy settings to extreme. People can't take her pictures off. They had taken her profile picture and then a picture of her dog off there, and that's all that was on this cloned page. And so her and my niece, they were able to, because mom was logged in on her computer, and they went in and decided to just completely shut the whole thing down. But this came up for me because of other things, but it just, with my mom, and but with this happening this week, it's just like, oh my gosh, And my sister, she's not on Facebook. She has nothing to do with any of that. And I was like, oh man, I wish I had that. And she said, she goes, why do people have to do that? I said, I don't know. I said, mom hasn't even been gone a month. And this is,
Well, and I mean, and out of fairness, though, Tammy, I think what it is when people are cloning other people's pages, they're not, it may not necessarily be somebody that knows your mom.
Oh, no, more, I'm not even suggesting it's somebody that knows my mom. It's not. I know that. And because everybody that knows my mom, they know she's gone. And anybody that would get a friend request. And so, actually, I posted last night. I couldn't tag her because it's gone, that just saying that, we had to completely shut mom's page down, to her family and friends, just to let them know. And if if you get a friend request from somebody, you have to go into that page, and I can't remember, it's the three dots, there's something that says more, and it, to report that page. But you have to do it from that page.
So what I typically do when I get a friend's request, unless I'm sitting right next to you when you send it, I go into Messenger right away, and I always check the legitimacy of friends' requests with this question: how do I know you?
Right.
And I get a response. May or may not get if I get a response back, um, my nephew, for example, we were Facebook friends, and then we weren't Facebook friends, and he just sent me a request. How do I know you? And then his response to me was, and it's got to be something unique that only you and this other person
Right.
would know. And this particular nephew, I was in the operating room. His mom had him by cesarean. I was in the operating room when he was born. The complications, and I was the only one that was like, um, you know, uh, her sister, was like, I can't go in there. Her brother was like, I'm definitely not going in there. And so they were like, well, you go in there with her? And I was like, well, that's kind of up to her. And she was like, yes. And so he was, the joke is I'm his father. So, he's my nephew, but I'm also his father. But anyway, I know we're, going down a rabbit hole. At the same time, though, when I think of people who are gone and their respective social media pages, that if someone is capitalizing on that grief, I think it's wrong as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and like I said, I mean, it's probably just somebody that came across it, could see that she had passed and just decided to mess. I mean, it happens to people that are alive all the time. I mean, this is just the most ridiculous thing, but it's, when it's happening to you and we're still going through this process, and, in a couple days it's my brother's birthday, and which it'll be 1 month since mom had passed away. But it also kicked into my sister, is like, you need to get this other stuff done and closed out, because this is a possibility. This is already starting to happen.
I think what I did, and again, me personally, I will never, ever shut Patrick's page down. Well, one, I don't have his, I don't have the capability. But a lot of times, for people who know him, it's a source of comfort, and they will post to him, hey, I see periodically posts, man, I miss you, wish you were here.
Well, and I gave Trina the choices, and and I told her those, scenarios too, because most people that I know that have had people that pass away, or people that I know that have passed away, their pages are kept up. And Trina was like, well, I can't monitor it, and I'm on there all the time. I can. I said, you and Jade make that decision, and just let me know either way, just so that we know what's going on.
Right.
But it was kind of sad, because when I went and searched my mom's name, then it came up nothing, and I was like, oh. But his carpe diem on this is, perhaps the person who died left some task incomplete. Finish it on their behalf.
Which is what I did when I finished Patrick's bedroom and then remodeled the rest of my house. I started in his bedroom and it ended up with a complete and total remodel. But I look at, look at him, I was like, I gotta look what you've done. And now it's like, time to do something new here. Yeah. Let's look over at number 94, where it says, plan something special for after the holidays. And it says, having something to look forward to is an age-old trick that seems to work in many situations. If you're worried about making it through the holidays this year, plan to reward yourself in early or mid-January. Your reward could be something as elaborate as a big vacation, or as simple as a manicure or massage at a day spa. What restores and revives you, that's what you're looking for. And I think what I like about this particular one, plan for something after the holidays, I think this is applicable not only after the holidays, but from the day that loved one was lost through, from then on. Because it's like, what are some things, like this morning, for instance, I was in, our Friday, the Friday group that, that we're usually in. And, they did a continuation of something they did. I wasn't there last Friday, because of an appointment, of conflicting appointment. But it was like, we're going to do like a mini spotlight on everybody. Kind of like I think of it as speed dating. Let me ask you like 5 questions
Right.
in 5 minutes, and you have to answer them. But anyway, the question was asked of me, like, your work is personal to you now. Like, can you talk about this? And I sat back and I was like, whether it is through my work, when I'm not here on the set, or what we do here, I look at that as, what can I do? And I think the words that I used today was what I've done since, you know, Valentine's Day 2019 and August 11th is everything that I can do to honor, Patrick and Aiden, keep their memory alive, keep their legacy alive. And, you said it earlier, comment you made, if it just reaches one person, um, you know, I feel successful, you know. So I like that about, planning for something special, for after the holidays, where he says, get out your January calendar and make plans for something special. And I would look at you and say, not just your January calendar, plan something for each individual month. This is going to be my, special January thing. This is going to be my February thing, throughout the month so that, you always have something to look forward to. And, if you're doing it in remembrance of the person that's not here, all the better.
Well, and that even takes it to his last one, number, 100. Believe in a better next year. And that's what you can work towards with those little goals every month too. Believe in a better next year. Believe in your capacity to heal and grow through grief. Believe in the enduring holiday spirit of giving and love.
And I like what he puts here. Write a note to yourself about next year's holidays and seal it in an envelope and tuck it amongst your boxed up holiday decorations. Write down your intention to experience love and joy. And again, you and I are biased, to Dr. Wolfett, unabashed, I say that unabashedly. This, finding, this book, and I was like, you know what? Perfect for not only the holidays, but anytime you find yourself struggling.
Oh yeah, holidays, anniversaries, anytime. And we had mentioned about comparing the mourners' Bill of Rights and lost survivors' Bill of Rights. We have them. And as you can see, the first three are the same. Actually, the first four, okay, yeah, the first three. But anyways, we're going to put these up both on the website and the Facebook page. They do intertwine somewhat, so.
I like that the themes amongst them is different, in terms of, having a right to, embrace, embrace the loss. Like he had on the Survivor's Bill of Rights, you have a right to embrace the mystery. And if I remember on the mourner's rights, you have the right to embrace the experience. And I look at it, that experience can be mysterious at the same time. So I like the way that they appear to be different, or they're designed to be different, but just how similar they really are.
Yeah, I really like that. So we're gonna come up with another book. And if you guys have any suggestions, please write it in the comments, email us, call, text. However, there's millions of ways to get a hold of us.
Hey, if you're local and you see us in the neighborhood grocery store, hey.
By the way,
this one.
how about this? Yeah, we're open to it, so that would be great. You got, or what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do the phone numbers? Let's do that.
Let's do the phone numbers.
Let's do the phone numbers. So please keep these numbers available and remember them. You never know when you're gonna need them. The new 988 number is a call or text, or call and text number. So just always have them in your phone available. And you have the quote.
Yeah, I look at those numbers.
Do you
as-
know? You
yeah.
don't know which quote I
I,
picked.
so, it was like, so it's the quote for today: "Life isn't meant to be easy; it's meant to be lived. Sometimes happy, other times rough, but every up and down you learn lessons that make you strong." You know, and I like that because, you know, that's applicable whether or not you've experienced a loss, you know, such as ours. Life is not easy. It's not designed to be. It wasn't meant to be easy. You know, in my line of work, you know, we joke, it's like, you know, difficulty, job security, you know, it's like, you know, but and it's like, okay, now someone's like, was that a tasteful joke? And, well, it is, you know, 'cause we do look at it. It's like very, you know, job security. But yeah, embrace the fact that life isn't supposed to be easy. We're going to have ups and downs, and, you know, getting through those, you know, makes life worth living, you know.
Yep, that's for sure.
And
But
remember,
there's always
always hope.
hope. So thank you.